Hello, so here we are, back in London for Assassin's Creed Syndicate. This is me playing as Jacob, one of the two playable characters in the game, the other one being Evie. She's the one that's good at stealth, being as she is a lady. And apparently, yeah, they're much better at creeping around than men. That's just evolution, that is. You know Jacob's a Londoner because he's wearing a flat cap in the style of the director Guy Ritchie. In all honesty, there's not a huge amount of difference between the two characters. They've got a few different skills and a few missions to themselves each. But on the whole, once you've kind of started to level up the characters, and I'm probably about 15% into the game now, there's really not a lot of difference between them. It does feel a bit like, oh, let's put a female character in there, or indeed a male character in there, to keep the relative female and male audiences happy, and not have accusations of inequality. And yet, you know, so you got a female character, she's still kind of wearing full makeup and lippy, and is the one who is supposedly the weaker character, but never mind. So yeah, here I am looting, which is getting rapidly tedious. Even only kind of 15% into the game, I am sick of looting chests and corpses, even though I've now got the skill that allows me to loot people automatically if I assassinate them. Anyway, here's me about to embark upon a mission which is going to be given to me by Alexander Graham Bell, the inventor of the telephone, who, believe it or not, is not just good at inventing telephones, but also good at inventing things like grappling hooks and poisonous darts. And he looks a bit like, I don't know what he looks like, Teddy Boy. Yeah, this cut sequence is a good example of the storytelling in this game and why it's so kind of irritating. You know, the characters here appear to be all very familiar with one another, but, you know, I've only met him once before. It's all over the place, this game, it really is. In fact, it's a problem that kind of infects the game generally, because there's very little set up. If you were coming to Assassin's Creed Syndicate cold and hadn't played one of their previous games, not a lot's explained to you. There are tutorials hidden away in the menu screen, but it just assumes that you know. Look at that, the way they say goodbye, it's so annoying. You don't know who he is. Don't act like he's your oldest, bestest mate. Yes, where was I? Yeah, it does feel like it assumes too much. I mean, it's, you know, let's face it, if you've played one of these map mopping games, you've played them all. And that is thus far into the game is the biggest problem. This is what, you know, third or fourth of these sorts of games that I've played this year. You know, Far Cry 4, Witcher 3, Arkham Knight. And here we are again doing the same sorts of things. In fact, the Arkham Knight example is probably a really good one, because you've also got this new is me skilling up. Yeah, because in this you've also got a grappling hook, which makes the game a little bit more Arkham Knighty or Arkham Asylum-y, in that you can ascend to the tops of buildings very rapidly and abseil between them. It isn't anywhere near as smooth or as fast as it is in the Arkham games, which is annoying to anyone who's played the Arkham games. They've obviously kind of gone for a little bit of extra realism in that you kind of often have to kind of move between buildings by going hand over hand rather than just sliding, which I don't know why they couldn't have just, you know, it's an issue with throughout this game, you know, let's just pick stuff up automatically, let's slide between buildings, let's be able to glide. You know, if you're going to kind of try and make our movement around the city that much quicker, just go the whole hog. The other thing that's new in this game is horses and carriages, which were meant to be in Unity, I believe, but they got left out probably because it was already bug-ridden enough. But in this one you can ride horses, or ride carriages rather, which handle pretty much as you might expect them to handle. It becomes a bit like a Grand Theft Auto Victorian London, in that the the horses can just smash through scenery. It's quite funny, actually. You know, you can just ram head on to lampposts and market stalls and things, and the horse doesn't suffer any apparent damage or, you know, of the brain. It just carries on. So anyway, so I'm on this mission. I don't know what I've got to do. I've got to loot something. I wasn't really listening to what Graham Bell was saying, or indeed whether even if I had listened, I'll be any the wiser. This game just, it feels like there's just huge gaps in the story or storytelling. It's really peculiar. So anyway, so I've got these new hallucinogenic darts, which if I fire them into a brazier, it'll make my enemies hallucinate and see each other as bad guys, which we've seen before, haven't we, in other games. So I presume you've got to rescue these guys in green because they're members of my gang. The Rooks, the enemy gang, the guys in red that I'm trying to save London from, are called the Blighters, which I'm assuming is a reference to the Peaky Blinders from the TV show of the same name, but I believe they were an actual gang. In Birmingham? Is it in Birmingham? I don't know. I've not seen Peaky Blinders. I'm assured it's very good. Yeah, that's sort of, I don't know. It's weird because it's a very authentic feeling game in lots of ways. I mean, the art direction is absolutely gorgeous, but at the same time, it does feel like a lot of the sort of history is, I don't know, I hesitate to say comic booky, but it feels like it's a bit GCSE and a bit surface. You know, it's like I've met Charles Darwin. Again, with the storytelling, it's like I did one kind of mission with him. There is no actual establishing of the relationship, but you get this cutscene at the end where, you know, he's calling you old boy, like he knows you really well. And he's just bizarre in this game, Charles Darwin. I thought he dedicated his life to proving that Jesus was a monkey. But in this, I don't know, he's creeping around investigating poison gas and being a bit of a busybody. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, so the history in it all feels a bit like kind of tourist London, you know, in that, you know, it's trying to portray a London that, well, it may have existed like this. I don't know. I wasn't alive back then. But it's the sort of London that perhaps people who've never lived in London think London is like. But maybe that's the idea. I don't know. I mean, you know, the revolutionary Paris in Unity certainly wasn't, to my eyes, like that. But then, you know, I've never lived in Paris. Anyway, so here we go. Looting another corpse. It's so slow and boring, and it just, I don't know, it feels like they've made concessions to the flow of the game being smoother, and then there are other things that are just needlessly clunky. Let's go and slit his throat. Oh no, let's tip him up, look at that, and stab him in the abdomen. There's another thing as well. There's the first, I don't know if it's not really a mission, but you arrive in London, the first thing that happens to you is you get pickpocketed. And you have to chase after the pickpocket, but en route you're stopped by a couple of these guys in red, and it flashes up on screen, kill the bad guys, or words to that effect. And then this Jacob and his sister are kind of just joking about it, like, you know, oh, you're not here to have fun, and it's like there's a couple of corpses on the floor. It's you can go around killing policemen willy-nilly without any real consequence. It's really odd. It's because, you know, in the way that as these games get kind of more realistic in so many ways, the unrealistic elements, or the video game elephants stand out all the more. I wasted that knife there. If you're not played an Assassin's Creed before, that kind of ghosting effect is your last known position, and where the bad guys will look for you if you then go into hiding. Look, it's an incredibly brutal and violent game. I mean, you know, 15% in, I've probably killed hundreds of people already. Similarly, the combat in this doesn't feel as smooth and slick as it does in the Batman games, which is a shame, because in lots of respects. It feels like it's trying to be the Batman games. Go on, just loot it. Look, oh god, this is another. Okay, so I've accidentally picked him up. This is another thing. When you've got kind of buttons that require you to hold them down to loot corpses, and you don't know which corpses you've looted, you end up doing things you don't want to. I had one mission where you have to kidnap people in certain missions, and then march them to a waiting handsome crab. 10 points if you know that reference. And you get attacked en route, so you keep dropping the person that you're kidnapping, and then, I don't know, this one mission I ended up... It took me about 10 minutes just to get this person in the back of a handsome crab. Because I kept kind of either accidentally attacking someone, or accidentally climbing to the top of a building, or accidentally driving the taxi instead of putting the person in the back. So here we go. This is me now chasing after a barge. Look at the dirty brown water. I read the other day that the River Thames is now cleaner than it's been in 60 years, and in parts of it there are whales and dolphins and seals. Well, I've never seen any. I think they're lying. Probably just mutants in there. That'd be cool if there were mutants living in the Thames. Very busy, the Thames, back in Victorian times. Look at it. How does anything get through? Look, here we go. This is the grappling thing. So slow. Look. Oh, hand over hand. Look, pull yourself along a bit. Oh no, and I've whacked into a mast. I mean, it is a gorgeous looking game, there's no doubt about it. I mean, it's just a shame that there's elements that are just feeling now desperately overdone. Yeah, it's here I want to be gliding, like Batman. I'm in the dirty brown water. Watch out for mutants, Jacob! You can swap between the characters for most of the missions. I've leveled up Jacob more than his sister. See, that was a waste of time. So I had to chase after the boat and it just stopped anyway. It's so repetitive now. The music's nice to a point, because you have this kind of nice orchestral... So I've got some gas in my throat now. You've got this kind of nice orchestral performing. It squawking throughout the game. No, orchestral kind of backing. Sometimes it's kind of choral, and it sounds great, but there's no real context to any of it. You know, the music doesn't change depending on the kind of threat level or anything. So, okay, so I got poisoned and I thought I might hallucinate, but again, maybe that's a Batman holdover. It had absolutely no effect. Get out. So here we go, Grand Theft Victorian London. Grand Theft Corso. Oh, look. Atta girl, smash your face into that lamppost. Atta girl. So you even have the kind of GPS line on the road. One thing that really impressed me is the layout of London. Actually, I went to kind of Trafalgar Square just to see what it was like, and I mean, it's incredibly authentic. But I was then able to walk up to what becomes Piccadilly Circus and across to Covent Garden, you know, without looking at the map, just because I kind of know that area of London pretty well, and it's all there.
Careful there, Mr. Bell.
Oh, Mr. Bell. Bell End, more like. Yeah, so there's real attention to detail in the layout. I mean, I don't know how authentic it is. I don't know whether it's just bits that they bothered with that, or whether they've actually looked at old maps and tried to put it together. Look, I don't care about any of this. Blah, 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 blah. I don't like Jacob, I've got to say. He's a smug git who says things that seem designed to irritate. And I don't much like his sister. She's about as bland as anything. Okay, well, there you go. That's a mission in Assassin's Creed Syndicate, along with some thoughts. Goodbye!